overwhelmed about conflicting information and constant changes in subclass 482 visa. You are not alone. Today I am going to clear the air. We are going to provide you a comprehensive, easy to understand guide on a subclass 482 visa so that you can make your informed decision. So let's start with the basic. Subclass 482 visa allows Australian employers to sponsor skilled workers when they cannot find a local talent from Australian labour market. 482 visa has total 3 steps: short-term stream, medium-term and labour agreement. So today we are going to talk about short-term and medium-term stream. So to start with, the first thing is you need to find a job in your nominated occupation and also find an NZSCO code for your job. There are 2 occupation lists, medium-term list and a short-term list. So either your occupation is on an MLTSSL or an S2SOL, then you can go ahead and apply for a subclass 482 visa. The first step your employer will need to do is apply for a standard business sponsorship. In order to apply for a standard business sponsorship, your employer will have to provide documents such as business registration, such as ABN, ACN, business name registration, etc. And also a business financial documents such as business activity statements and profit and loss and balance sheets. The second step is your employer will have to then go ahead and apply for an application called nomination. In the nomination application, the first step is your employer has to prove that they have advertised the position and conducted a labour market testing. So the advertisement has to be on at least 2 job advertisement platforms, and the advertisement has to be online for at least 28 days. The labour market test must have been conducted within last 4 months from the date of application for a nomination. Once the labour market test is completed, your employer can go ahead and apply for a nomination application. In the nomination application, the first thing is your employer will have to provide an evidence that they have conducted the labour market test. The second thing is your employer will have to provide an employment agreement where the minimum salary is $73,150 plus superannuation, or if the market rate is higher than the market rate. Then your employer will also have to provide a detailed job description that matches with your nominated occupation's NZSCO code description. Your employer will have to provide an explanation on genuine need of the position in the business and also justify that the terms and conditions that are offered to you are equal to an Australian employee. The nomination application, your employer will have to pay a nomination application fee which is around $330 plus an SAF levy. SAF levy is determined by the turnover of the business. If the turnover of the business is above 10 million, then the business will have to pay $1,800 per year for the nomination. And if the turnover of the business is less than 10 million, the business will have to pay at least $1,200 per year. Let's understand this by an example. If your business is nominating you for a position of an accountant, which is on a medium and long term list, so they can nominate you for at least 4 years. If the business turnover is above 10 million, they will have to pay 1,800 into 4, that means $7,200. But if the employer decides to sponsor you only for 3 years, then they have to pay 1,800 into 3 for at least $5,400. In the same case, if the business turnover was less than 10 million, the business would have only paid 4,800. So if the business turnover was less than 10 million in the same scenario, the business would have paid at least $4,800 for 4 years and $3,600 for 3 years nomination. So which is simply multiplying by $1,200 into number of years. The next step is to apply for your visa. Now, you can choose to apply for your visa on your own, or your employer can also choose to apply and pay for the visa. Now, in the 482 visa application, you as an applicant will have to provide an evidence that you have at least 2 years of full-time work experience or equivalent part-time work experience within the last 5 years. Second criteria is you must meet the English language proficiency requirement. If your occupation is on a short-term skill occupation list, then you have to provide an evidence that you have IELTS 5 overall with minimum 4.5 in each module. And if your occupation is on a medium and long-term skill list, then you need to provide an IELTS result with minimum 5 band in each module and overall 5 bands. And you also have to provide an evidence that you have relevant skills and qualification to perform these duties. If your occupation is a registered or a licensed occupation, you must ensure that you have a necessary registration or license for you to perform the job. Now, if your occupation is on a medium and long-term list, you will get up to 4 years visa. And if your occupation is on a short-term list, you'll get up to 2 years of visa depending on the length we mentioned in the nomination. Now, once you got this visa, let's understand the visa condition. Processing time for a standard business sponsorship is between 1 to 4 weeks. And processing for a nomination is also around 4 weeks at the moment. Processing time for a visa application for a 482 visa is up to 4 months. Now, let's say your visa is granted. Let's understand the condition and your entitlements for this visa. This visa allows you to live and work in Australia for up to 4 years with a potential pathways for a permanent residency. You can also have your family members included in this application, such as your partner and a child. There are several conditions applicable on this visa. Number one, you must work for the employer who sponsored you for the visa in the nominated occupation. You cannot change the occupation without applying for the new visa. You must maintain the health insurance for you and your family while you're staying in Australia. You must work in the location that was specified in your visa application. This visa allows you to work full-time for your employer, and your partner or a family member has unrestricted work rights and they can work for any employer and any occupation. Now that we have understood your visa conditions and your entitlements, let's understand how this visa can lead to a permanent residency. To apply for a permanent visa, you will be applying for a subclass 186 visa under TRT stream. To qualify for this visa under TRT stream, you will have to ensure that you complete 2 years of work experience while holding a subclass 482 visa with your employer. And if your employer is happy to sponsor you for a subclass 186 visa after 2 years, you will just have to ensure that you prove that you have completed 2 years of work while holding a 482 visa and have competent English. Skill assessment is not compulsory for a subclass 186 visa under TRT stream. And once your employer has applied for a nomination and a visa for this stream, that's your permanent residency. To understand details about the subclass 186 visa in both the streams, direct entry and temporary residence stream, we will be also publishing another video in detail about subclass 186 visa.